To break down from the Capitol today, so we want to bring in our digital political reporter, Alex Kienlen. Alex, a lot going on today. It seems like we're talking about politics all across the board.
A lot of typing today, yes.
Yeah. So let's go to the Ten Commandments issue first. We're talking about this lawsuit that these families brought up in Northwest Arkansas. This came out in June. So if you kind of want to recap for our viewers what that entailed.
Well, the families are atheists or humanists, characterize themselves in different ways, and they didn't want to expose their children to this, quote, Christian indoctrination. So, but of course this thing keeps pressing on. I think what we got to look at is the court history in this, and especially how we're seeing changes in the Supreme Court, that supporters of the Ten Commandments are more emboldened because of this. Now, back in 1980, you might recall, there was a Supreme Court ruling and Ten Commandments are off the table. Forget it. Mm-hmm. You're not putting Ten Commandments up in schools. Well, since then, an important one was penned by Justice Alito in 2019 that allowed a cross to remain erected in a public park. And Alito said, well, the cross is a historical artifact, not just a Christian artifact. And this is the one that they're really leaning on to be able to support the Ten Commandments. And then more recently, there was a 2022 ruling, you might recall this, about a coach that wanted to pray with his athletes in high school. And the school said, well, separation of church. And he said, no, I'm going to do it anyway. Lawsuit appears before the Supreme Court. Supreme Court, it's fine for him to pray. So while I don't think the Arkansas law, the supporters of the Arkansas law don't think it's going to make it all the way to the Supreme Court, there is a similar law in Louisiana that's currently being challenged. And that's a little bit further down the road, and I think we're going to see that one get to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. Right as of now, those 4 districts with those families who filed the lawsuit don't have to have the Ten Commandments up as of now?
Are forbidden from having the Ten Commandments up for now.
Okay.
And important to note, so that was a temporary injunction. A judge grants a temporary injunction when he feels like this case would be upheld when it goes through a full hearing. And he cited that 1980 Stone v. Graham law in making his opinion. Well, he just said this is clearly unconstitutional at one point in his opinion, and issuing the ban.
Now another ruling coming down today, which we've been watching for a few months now, well actually years, when we first covered the gender-affirming care lawsuit that went into effect at a federal level. I know we had talked about a few months ago Tennessee upholding or getting rid of their ban, and kind of had, okay, what's going to happen in Arkansas, and we're seeing that play out today.
We're exactly seeing that. In fact, Attorney General Tim Griffin brought that up several times during his news conference today, that Tennessee had recently prevailed and their ban on gender-affirming care for minors is now upheld. Of course, this law has been in battle since 2021 when it was passed by the legislature. Governor Hutchinson vetoed it at the time, thinking it would lead to an extended court case. And apparently he was correct, but the legislature was able to override his veto. The court said, because this is about age and medical procedure and not about gender, that this is okay. This is not violating the Constitution.
All right, well, we can start seeing that get implemented right away then.
Oh, yeah, most certainly. Now, we can also expect some more pushback. I mean, there are mental health concerns here. And of course, the proponents of the law will say, well, mental health concerns, but it's such a very small part of the population. Yeah.
It will be interesting to see how this all plays out. Of course, Alex has written extensive stories on our website, KARK, if you guys want to dig into that a little bit deeper. Thanks so much for the insight, Alex.